I don't think that a upbeat, cheerful theme song feels right now as we cover yet another school shooting in Madison, Wisconsin. A 17-year-old student, a girl, was the shooter, is what they are reporting out of Wisconsin. And she was 17 years old. She was found dead inside the school after taking the lives of at least 2 other people, several students. There are 3 deaths and 6 injuries. Several of them are still critical. And I'm just so angry that we continue to have these school shootings, that we somehow just brush right past them like, oh, it's another shooting at a school. And this is a community that we will be in tomorrow. We will be in Madison, Wisconsin, broadcasting from the Minocqua Brewing Tap Room. And I know that we'll be discussing this. And this was at a Christian school. Again, we've talked a lot about the schools in Wisconsin, how they have been defunding a lot of the public schools in order to divert it to charter schools, to parochial schools. And this was at Abundant Life Christian School, again, in Madison. We know that there are more guns in this country than there are people, and there are so many unreasonable conversations that we have to have every single time, that it's not the time. There's always prayers and thoughts. There's never anything that happens afterwards. I mean, I think many of us knew that after Sandy Hook, if it wasn't enough to see so many children slaughtered in their school, and then again in Texas, when the only way you could identify some of the students were by what shoes they wore, the little girl that always wore her green Chucks, that we continued to have just no sense of urgency. No, and look, I'm not saying no. Obviously, there are so many people who advocate, who fight. Many of them are the parents of victims. Many of them are survivors of gun violence. And yet we continue to have electeds who, look, there are obviously, if you haven't seen the videos years ago of Marjorie Taylor Greene before she was even elected, she would harass and harangue David Hogue, calling him basically a crisis actor and mocking him for appealing to just sensible gun laws. And we're not even allowed to do that. We're not allowed to demand or essentially beg and plead, let's do something so that children are not killed in their classrooms, so people are not slaughtered in their synagogues, in their grocery stores, in their movie theaters, at Walmart. I mean, come on. What? And in neighborhoods in Chicago, I know that every time this happens, people are like, well, what about the shootings? And we do talk about those. We had our friend Sean on last week talking about the House of Hope Foundation, and he does the work in communities, trying to get kids off the street and give them something to do after school. And you know what? Now that I'm angry, in the state of Illinois, we are about to lose after-school programs across the state, in particular in the city of Chicago, because our General Assembly approved $50 million in funding. And now they're saying, well, it wasn't necessarily supposed to go to these specific programs, and the governor and the president of the Senate and the Speaker of the House, they all have to agree on it. But really, it was just kind of created so that the representatives and the senator would all feel good about the money was coming. But now some of that money for after school programming, where we know in communities that have the most challenges when it comes to keeping our kids safe, may not be able to have those after school programs in music and debate classes and sports. All these different programs are on the chopping block if the funding doesn't come through. And here's the thing: we have a deficit. We're following these stories, and somebody asked me last week if I was going to talk about Mayor Johnson and the budget that he was proposing, and the lack of support he had for raising property taxes. At first, it was taking out a $300 million loan, and then he chucked all of that and tried to do the property taxes, had no vote, didn't call the vote for the budget on Friday. Folks, it is December 16th. We have 14 days tomorrow. We have until December 31st to have a budget in the city of Chicago. And then after that, through May, the state of Illinois has a shortfall in our state budgets, which, coming back to my original point about after-school programs that we know save lives, are possibly not going to get funded at all, because those are often the first programs that get cut. Ugh. And things will only get worse with conservatives at in control at the federal level because they want to zero out a lot of these programs that they consider to be, if it helps people in black and brown communities. And here's the thing. We always talk about the black and brown communities and conservatives not caring about urban areas or resenting them. I've been in the press box in Springfield when fingers are pointed at Chicago as being to blame for all the problems in the state of Illinois, when I know, and if you aren't aware of this, it's the same as the problem that we have with our federal tax dollars, that we get less back for every dollar we spend than mostly red states. The same is true in the state of Illinois. For every dollar that Chicagoans and I think in DuPage County, the counties that produce a lot of the revenue and commerce in the state of Illinois, we pay more into other parts of the state than they do. We get less than $1 for every tax dollar that we put in. I don't know what the last number was. I can look it up, but it was like 70, maybe 78 cents. There are parts of the state that get $1.11, get $1.89 to make sure that they have roads, because we do need them. We need the agriculture. We need the ability to have access to our rural areas and make sure that they have access to their hospitals, to education. What it's coming down to is when on days like this, when there's gun violence and there's gun violence in this country every single day. And I know that we talk about it more when it's in a school and we send our children off and expect for them to be safe and to come home. That's when it's a glaring reminder of how vulnerable we all are. But we know that there's gun violence in our own city, that we have neighbors that are gunned down, that kids are vulnerable here too. What I'm saying is, what I feel like, and I think Dwayne Kennedy brought this up last week, and a caller brought this up, is that we keep being reminded that the way many of us envision, whether it's government programs or policy or legislation, is that we are in this together. That's the way I think we feel about this. And I think that's why it's so painful. And to see people lack empathy, to lack that sense of urgency, to not be behind those doors when it comes to crafting legislation and having and negotiating, whether it's a budget or a piece of legislation that will save lives or enhance someone's sense of safety or provide services for our elderly, for our disabled. There are people who aren't in there with their hair on fire getting that work done, and the rest of us suffer. And I think that's what's so frustrating for liberals, for progressives, because so many people, and I'm not talking about elected Democrats, because I know plenty of elected Democrats who are in it for themselves, for consolidating power, but I'm talking about people who vote against not only the interests of their community, but unknowingly or knowingly vote against their own interests, their own safety, their own future for themselves, for their children, for their communities, for the disabled, for senior citizens. There's another story. I know Tom Hartman covered this earlier today. United Healthcare is cutting the funding for applied behavioral analysis, which provides a lifeline to parents like me who benefit from this therapy. If you have a child who learns things differently, who has challenges when it comes to understanding and learning, I will tell you, I know there are people who believe that applied behavioral analysis, ABA therapy, is controversial. My son learned how to communicate in the most simple way. At the age of 8 years old, he still was not pointing. He's never spoken a word. And within 3 weeks of working with an extraordinary therapist, he learned how to point. And that might not seem like a big deal to you, but it means he got to make choices. He actually could have entire conversations. If you hold up two things that he might want, maybe something to eat, maybe I'm holding up pretzels and maybe I'm holding up his favorite cookies, and he can say, I want the cookies, right? But before we would kind of just, try to figure it out, or he would grab for things. But now he would just a simple gesture of pointing. And it's an entire conversation, because I remember going into his room and pointing at his bed, telling him it was bedtime, and Declan would point at the door defiantly saying, I don't wanna. And that's the power of therapies like applied behavioral analysis for families like mine. It doesn't work for everybody, but to have it taken away, ripped away from families who are benefiting from it, which is something that sent me to Springfield in 2012 to fight for other families, to get the funding for it in Illinois. And now we're seeing, if United Healthcare is going to do that, or other insurance companies, and they don't see any pushback or blowback from the federal level or from electeds, that's going to be across the board, because it's just like price gouging. Once they know they can do it and get away with it and will pay it, or nothing bad will happen to them, they will keep doing it. What I'm saying is we are clearly not in this together, and yet so many of us fight as though we are, and I know I'll keep doing that. I know so many of you will keep doing that. I don't want to make you as angry as I am. I don't want to burn you out. I know that folks are burned out. People are worried. They have a lot of dread. I have relatives who are looking at and friends who are looking at plans to either move or just remove themselves for as long as possible to other places in the world. I'm not built that way. I would love to, but I'm not built that way. I'm here to make them uncomfortable. That's what I want, and by that I mean demanding what is right for the people of this country. All right. We probably should say some fun things at some point, but I'm going to take a break and we'll talk about some stuff we have to give away. We'd love for you to continue to tune in. Of course, we're going to have maybe Jen Zanotti. Jen Zanotti will help at 6 o'clock. She's our positivity expert, our Motivational Monday expert. She's coming up at 6 o'clock. And coming up, because I'm talking about how we are in this together, we want to help each other. We're going to talk to Hannah Neihart, who's the co-organizer of Market Box. They bulk buy food from small Midwest farms and distribute it for free access to communities that need it on the south side of Chicago. So we'll talk to Hannah at 5:30. The phone lines are open. Oh, sorry. Can we open the phone lines? 737-639-9278. That's the number to call and join the conversation. You can also text us to that number, 773-763-9278. More in a moment on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Hey, it's Patty here, reminding you that Monaco Brewing Company's progressive beers like Maga Tears IPA, Biden Beer, and the LGBTQ-inspired Love Wins Fruited Sour are now available at Chicagoland locations like Armanetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Beer Shop in Oak Park, McLean Liquors in South Elgin, Beer on Central in Evanston, and My Buddies, a pride-friendly bar on Clark in Chicago. Don't forget to drink and vote responsibly.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
If you're listening to the station throughout the day, and I hope that you are, and it's so nice to hear Karen talking about how important our voice is here on WCPT, and I do kind of like chew on that. I kind of like that for Richard show, but Choose Views works really well too. We've been giving away I'm so excited to be working with Fry the Coop. Oh my God, you guys. I'm going to get hungry every single time I read this live read because you guys, their chicken is ridiculously good. There's one right down the street on Milwaukee going towards heading east towards Montrose. It's before Montrose. Oh my God. After Lawrence, before Montrose. You guys, it's so good. Fry the Coop is the destination for hot chicken in Chicago and the Chicagoland area, giving a Southern original Midwest touch, whether you want heat or no heat. I used to like heat. They broke me at work, Paul. Someone got a ghost pepper pizza, and I haven't been right since. But so I go low heat on my Fry the Coop, featuring chicken. Well, they are in Chicagoland area, so featuring chicken sandwiches, tenders, chicken and waffles, and now nuggets, all delivering happiness in each crunchy bite. Proudly not using seed oils, frying all of their menu items in 100% beef tallow. You got to stop by Fry the Coop today at one of its many locations from Oak Lawn, Chicago, Elmhurst, Darien, Prospect Heights, Tinley Park, and Bolingbrook. You can have no heat, mild, medium, hot, or crazy insanity. I'm not going to do that one. That's for you guys. That's for somebody else. It used to be me. It's not me anymore. But I think I'll go with, I like mild to medium. That's my speed now. And to celebrate, by the way, the holidays, Fry the Coop has given us $25 gift cards as our little gift to you. I probably should proofread these before I go through them. It's our little gift to you. So I'm going to take the third caller. How's it sound? Third caller at 773-763-9278 for your chance to win a $25 gift card to Fry the Coop. You guys just call and try this. And there's got to be a location near you if you're in the Chicagoland area. And if you're not, or our IBEW friend who drives all over the country, and when you're passing through and you live in the area, we would love to give you the opportunity to win one of these gift cards. Contests running on WCPT 820 are open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. One entry entry per person, one winner per household. Void where prohibited by law. Listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available on our website at WCPT820.com by clicking the contest tab. And coming up in the next hour, I will have a pair of tickets to give away to a Kathy Griffin show. Man, good for her for getting back. I mean, look, we make choices in our career, and I thought it was a little much. It wasn't my. Here's the thing about comedy, folks. If it's not where you move along, if you're grossed out by it or you're offended by it. Look, throughout my career, even as a comic, there have been things I was like, oh, really? And I just walk out of the room, or I change the channel, or I scroll on by. But we'll give away a pair of Kathy Griffin tickets in just a little bit. That's going to be in the next hour, because she's got a show coming up at the Chicago Theater. Oh, man, I got to promote somebody who's competing with me? All right, fine. But I'll be in Indianapolis, so that's fine. She'll be at the Chicago Theater for New Year's Eve. So we'll talk about that in just a little bit. And let's get to our phone calls. Jim is on the line. Hey, Jim, what's on your mind, my friend?
Hi, Patty.
Hey.
What I'm interested in is seeing a line of questioning from the Republican lawmakers. What is Project 2025? Is it a cheap wine, or is it a philosophy that we're supposed 330 million Americans are supposed to live with? Can you define it? They never asked these lawmakers. Then it was Leonard Leo. I'm sure that Trump will put two really lunatic judges on, and get rid of Minestrone for women's health care. Do you think it's a good idea to get rid of women's health care across the board? Because in reality, you're just taking away opportunities for people in difficult circumstances. Instead of people, because people have money, they can go anywhere they want and get whatever they want. But it's the poor Americans that can't get out of town. But anyway, why don't they ask these? What is Project 2025? Is it cheap wine? I mean, is it something that they really believe that we should deconstruct the whole government?
Yeah, I mean, Steve Miller has said that basically it's his blueprint. Trump just told Newsweek that a lot of it looks good to him. It's conservative. A lot of it looks good. He said, even though he denied it the entire campaign, and all of my conservative friends were telling me, tutting me and patting me on the head like I was crazy, which is beside the point, by the way. But go ahead.
Yeah, but how many of those 72 million Republican voters could give you a short synopsis on Project 2025? I would bet my liver that there's 70 million of them couldn't even articulate it.
Yeah,
but yet they're voting for it. They're blindly voting for it.
Yep.
Anyway, and then, oh my God.
I know.
This is too much. It's just too much to believe. It's too much to believe. How dumbed down do we get? I was telling Joan today, Maria Ressa, the great, who won the Nobel Peace Prize for being a journalist, the head of the BBC and the journalist that was let out of Russia, she said the social media is made 71% of the earth authoritarian. People don't even understand. They just look at their phone and they think that that's what the gospel is.
Yep. Yeah, and again,
yeah, but we can't live like that.
I know.
We can't. Yeah.
And this is what I was talking about earlier. There's no sense of urgency on the part of electeds, of policymakers, to ever even the idea of making sure that a website has to be vetted in order to call it itself a news site, right? But and now
exactly.
We have to go back to scratch with educating young people with critical thinking and taking the next step of verifying something, having several sources, finding out what the truth is. But no, you're right. People just absorb it, 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, and that's their reality. And the other thing is, because the brain is such a powerful organ of, you can imagine things. If something sets you off visually, or something that you hear that sounds right, or that could be true, then your imagination then goes from there. And that's how things like QAnon took off, and these pedophile rings and pizza joints and drinking babies' adrenalized pharmacrons, and that's how it's insane.
But all of these social media people have made billions, $300 billion. And they're all giving $1 billion to Trump for his inauguration.
Yeah.
They love Trump. In reality, they love Trump. Because in reality, what they really want people to be is a dyed-in-the-wool consumer that's only interested in money, that our only existence on this world is to get as much money as we can.
Yep.
And that's what, then you win the contest, even though you're buried in the same grave as the homeless guy next to you. But the point is, that is their strategy, and it's insanity. It's total insanity.
Here, listen to this. And I probably talked about this earlier in the year. Mark Zuckerberg is building a $270 million, 5,000 square foot underground bunker with its own energy and food supplies in Hawaii. Right? I mean, like they're creating the end of they're creating the end of civilization and then hiding. That's essentially. He's like, well, you know, I did my part. I'm going to go hide in my bunker with my own grocery store.
You know, Patty, 30 years ago, they had a guy in California that built bunkers, bomb shelters for wealthy people, and he said, I got a $5 million bomb shelter, and I got about a $500,000 bomb shelter. And he explained what they look like and so on. So the interviewer asked him, he says, have you got one? He says, you think I'm crazy? You know, the guy that owned the bomb shelters, he wouldn't have one. He wasn't that crazy.
No, you know who's making out like bandits in the last, who's going to make out like bandits are the people that serve rich people. If you provide security, there's a lot of CEOs that are going to hire you.
Sure.
If you build bunkers and all kinds of, you know, these doomsday stuff.
It was so depressing downtown. I went by some high rises, coming back and forth to work, and I noticed they had security guys dressed up in security uniforms with dogs. I thought to myself, is this Chicago? What am I at here? Do you know what I mean? What are they trying to do? Separate themselves? What did you going to live longer? Or what? I don't get it. No. We're citizens of the country. And we got a great country up until these Republicans got loose, whatever I don't even call them Republicans. They're Project 2025 people, and Leonard Leo and
Harlan Crow and all those guys.
All these billionaires want us to say that that's it. It's every man for themselves, and because we made a few billion, now we're going to dictate to the rest of you. And it's, I don't know how we ever got to anything like this. Remember when Roosevelt used to say, I'm going to have lunch and grilled millionaire? In those days, he said he would be billionaire. But he said, I'm going to have lunch and grilled billionaire. In other words, the billionaires weren't going to run his administration. You follow me?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, his cabinet is worth his cabinet's worth nearly $500 billion. $500 billion.
Oh, I know. But what do you think? Do you think they're going to wax and wane for the American citizen?
No.
They're going to just pilfer the treasury to their own lust for money. But
Jim, I feel like you and I are getting each other wound up tonight.
No, that's right. Yeah, I know, but you're right, Bay. You're right, Bay. But still, I mean, it's so angry when you think about where we were headed. Kamala Harris was a terrific candidate. I don't care what happened one way or the other. But she mentioned housing. She mentioned health care. I mean, these, and now you have wages, getting wages up. I mean,
you know how tired I am of people saying, well, it didn't sound like people didn't believe her, or it didn't sound like a solid plan. What you're trying to say is they were better at tricking and lying to people. They were better at the grift.
Exactly
That's
right.
it.
That was exactly right. They taught these younger guys that people to stay home. They stay home because it doesn't matter who you vote for. Democrats, Republicans, just try to get rich.
Yep.
Just try to get rich. Try to get rich like everybody else. Get rich like everybody else. Anyway. Yep. It's repulsive. Anyway, have a good show. We got the Bears today. I wonder if
no. Don't make my night worse.
No kidding. All right, take care, dear. Take care, sweetheart.
Thank you so much. For our listeners on hold, we have a guest coming up, and I will take your call right after I talk to Hannah Neihart, the co-organizer of Market Box, which both buys food from small Midwest farms and distributes to people who need it in Chicagoland area. Let's take a break here and come back with our conversation on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. Joining us on the line is Hannah Neihart, or co-organizer of Market Box, and we're thrilled to have you on the show. Hi, Hannah. How are you doing tonight?
Hi, Patty. Thanks so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Excellent. We're thrilled. And thank you so much for the work that you guys all do with MarketBox. Tell us, first of all, let's meet you. Where are you from originally?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm originally from Connecticut, but I've lived my whole adult life in Chicago. I came out here for school, and I stayed. And so at this point, I've been here for about 15 years.
Oh, all right. Where'd you go to school?
University of Chicago. So I came to the South Side and stayed on the South Side. I live in Hyde Park now, and I work in Woodlawn.
Oh, great.
So I found my spot, and I stuck to it.
I love it. I have a maroon in junior year right now, actually. So.
Oh, nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's a great neighborhood. I'm a lifelong North Sider, so I've been pleasantly surprised. I do like the Woodland tap, but that's neither here nor there. Tell us a little bit about the genesis of MarketBox. How long has MarketBox been around?
Yeah, absolutely. So MarketBox began at the beginning of the pandemic in 2020, and it was really it was a product of our circumstances. We, some friends and I who all worked in the same building, the experimental station in Woodlawn, we're all sort of trying to figure out a way to be useful in this moment when it felt like everything had changed really suddenly. And we looked really close to home. We wanted to be really focused on what we felt like we could do in a time that was really disorienting and really scary. And the farmers market in our building had a linked matching program. It was this really busy, really vibrant farmers market. And anyone who used food stamps, who used SNAP, Link Money, could come, and their link would go twice as far at the farmers market on any kind of produce and fresh food. And so when the market shut down, in addition to all of the other ways that the pandemic made things more difficult for people, it meant that folks who had used Link Money at the farmers market didn't have that access to sort of half-price produce. And the farmers didn't have, they didn't have a market, right? They didn't have a place to sell their food. And so we were trying to sort of support two parts of our community at once, right? And say, okay, the farmers have this food, they don't have a market for it. And we have folks who are going hungry right now, who are our neighbors, and we want to try to get that food to them. And so when we started out, we were just trying to pull together 100 big bags of food. We were trying to raise about $4,000. And we reached out to sort of everyone in our community. We said, if you can give money, great. If you need food, great. Let us plug in with us, and we'll try to get you what you need, and we'll try to give you a way to plug in if that's what you're looking for. We said we'll do 100 bags, and if that means 4 bags over time to 25 families, we'll do that. If it means that 100 families reach out and we can get them each 1 bag, we'll do that. And then the support was so much more than we'd imagined, and the need was also, I think, so much greater than, I think we knew, but we didn't know it viscerally. And so the project sort of blew up, and at this point we've done, from that 100 that we initially planned, we've done 20,000 deliveries over the past 4 years.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for all the work that you and everyone involved with MarketBox have done. And this also supports our farmers in the area as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, which is huge for us. I mean, I think a thing that we were thinking about at that time was that a lot of the systems that we rely on to try to help people out, those systems themselves are extractive, right? And so we're going to maybe big box stores to try to get food to people, and those same big box stores are sourcing from folks who aren't paying people a living wage, right? They're probably not paying people a living wage. And at the same time, we know that there are these local farmers who are really trying to do things right? And they're trying to pay people what they earn, and they're trying to be good to the land and good stewards of the land, and they're trying to get people good food. And so we really wanted to support Midwest farms who were trying to do that. And so at this point, we regularly source from a couple dozen farms. And we're now in the process of something that is really important to me, which is that we're getting our fundraising to a level where we can make forward commitments to those farms. So we can go to them and we can say, okay, we're going to be able to buy X many pounds of produce from you across the whole next season, right? And that lets them make investments, and it lets them sort of do crop planning. And it means that we know that we're going to have enough collards, enough sweet potatoes, enough lettuce, enough tomatoes to get out to our network.
That's outstanding. And I know that it can be challenging too at farmers. You mentioned the farmers markets. Not every farmers market has the SNAP exchange, because I know a lot of farmers will sometimes even double the amount that the SNAP allows in order to make sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is great, but not a lot of farmers markets have that system set up in order to help folks out. And then on top of that, a lot of people who donate food. It's a lot of non-perishables, cans and boxes of pasta, which is great. But the thing that people need the most is the fresh produce. It really it changes lives, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think that we really see ourselves as like one piece of a lot of support that we hope people are getting, right? Like, I think that the food pantry system is so important and is incredible. And yeah, as you said, it is less equipped to get people fresh food, right? And so I think that that's something that we really prioritize. And we know that we are not people's only source of food, but the hope is that we're helping them stretch a grocery budget, or, we're supplementing the pantry items that they can get at a food pantry. Right.
And so much of this is about dignity, right? Maintaining dignity.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tell us a bit about that, because it does, the impact, because folks, it's not easy to ask for help or even acknowledge it sometimes, right?
Yeah, I think that that's crucial. And I think that that's a lot of the mutual aid grounding for MarketBox. I think that part of the premise there, the idea is that it's neighbors helping neighbors, right? And part of that is the understanding that, with a turn of luck, you could be the person who really needs something, next month, right? Or next year.
Right.
And I think that something that is like really crucial to us is, as you said, it's that dignity piece, right? Like, we really operate as something that I think is really crucial is that we're a trust-based operation. We believe that people know what they need. And so if you're signing up to be on our list, we're not saying, okay, we need income statements, we need this. We need you to prove that you really need it, right? We know no one is coming to us and saying, hey, can you deliver this bag of food to me, who doesn't need that extra boost to stretch their grocery budget, right? And so I think that that's a big part of how we think about that. It's sort of two sides of the same coin, which I think are dignity and trust, right? When I trust you to know what you need, there is also dignity there. And when I'm saying you need to prove to me that you need this, it's really hard for someone to maintain their dignity when they have to kind of show you those receipts.
Yeah, exactly. And so how many folks do you have working with MarketBox Chicago?
Yeah, that's it's really incredible. We're a volunteer-led and a volunteer-powered operation. We have been for the 4.5, coming up on 5 years that we've been working on this. And we have sort of a few dozen very regular volunteers. But I actually was looking at this just the other week to sort of get a sense of our year, and over 290 people volunteered with MarketBox this past year. Wow. And so a lot of it is, people will pull. A thing that I love is that the way that our operation works is that we deliver twice a month to half of our list. So there's about 500 households on the MarketBox list that we're delivering to. And 2 Saturdays of the month, we come together in a church in Woodlawn, First Presbyterian. We get, maybe 8,000 pounds of produce and food delivered. And then one set of volunteers packs all of that up into bags. And then a second set of volunteers comes and drives it all out on like 10 to 12 stop delivery routes, right? We have people who live in all of the neighborhoods that we serve who are coming in. Because we work on the south side of Chicago. So we go over to Western, and then we go down to 95th Street, plus a little bit, and then up to Roosevelt. And we have folks many of our volunteers live in the neighborhoods that we're delivering to. And we also have folks who are coming from the north side or the suburbs or the far south, or are just here for a weekend, but, their cousin or their sister or their best friend said, hey, I do this. Will you come do it with me?
Oh, that's beautiful. And I really appreciate your mission to also have, the capacity to build civic power. Tell us a little about, it's not just about, supporting families, providing a space for them to come or to have access to fresh foods and coordinating with all these different organizations, but it's also about helping seniors, about making sure that kids feel the magic of Christmas. Tell us a little bit about the other aspects of the work you do.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that there are 2 ways that we think about that. One is that it feels really important in the work we do to kind of name the problem, right? We know it's not an accident that people are going hungry on the south side of Chicago, and that the majority of those people are Black and brown, right? We know that there are a lot of systems that are not set up to help us out. And part of that is when you think about sort of the systems of benefits that people are working with, one really, I think, potent example is that when we did a survey of our network, we found that about half of our network was on Link or qualified for Link or similar benefits. But 86% said that they were worried about their family having enough to eat. Right. And so to me, that says two things. One is that it means that people are on Link and it's not enough, right? It's not enough to make them feel secure that they can feed their families. And there are people who don't have that security, who are really worried about getting enough food on the table, and somehow they don't qualify, right? And so I think it feels really important to us to say, this isn't right. And we're stepping up with our neighbors to try to fill this gap. But what we want is a world where the gap isn't there. Right. So that's part of it, is just we really believe that like naming that problem and connecting people to one another can be really potent and really fruitful. And then the other part of that, I think, is that we've been able to be really flexible and really responsive. And so that meant early on, we have a standing phone bank where we reach out to people, because a lot of the folks that are getting deliveries, maybe they're seniors, they're less on email. So we would use those phone banks and say, hey, do you know the closest place to you to get a vaccine? Or in a different season, do you know the closest place to you to vote? And it's never, hey, you should be doing this, but it's always, we want to make sure that you have all the information that we have, right? And similarly, we've done smoke alarm provisions when there were a bunch of building fires on the south side. We've done opioid prevention trainings. And a lot of that is just having this sort of trust built across networks where it's like, if you call, I'm going to pick up. And if I call, you're going to pick up.
That's fantastic. I really am just, again, grateful for the work that you all do. And I want to make sure that our listeners, our audience, has the opportunity to support the work you do, get involved, whether it's volunteering, donating, or perhaps somebody who's listening right now who, has wondered if they should be reaching out and get some support. How can they reach out and sign up for help?
Absolutely. So I'll give you one link for all three, and it's marketboxshy.org. So it's, CHI, like Chicago at the end of that. And there are, at our homepage, there are ways to sign up to volunteer. There are ways to get on the wait list for deliveries. Because we do maintain this network of once you're in, you're in, there is a wait list right now. We're always fighting to get that down. And you can also donate there. And I will flag that we're coming up on the holidays now, but the last 2 Saturdays of January, we're going to be back at it. And there are already shifts up. So if people do want to plug in, they can get online and they can sign up, and we'll make sure to remind you when it's a little closer. But we are always so grateful to have new people. We always need new folks, and there will be a whole lot of people there ready to plug you in.
Well, I'm glad that you came to school in Chicago, and I don't know if you fell in love with the city, but decided to make it your home and make such an important impact.
Oh, I did for sure.
I never assume people fall in love with my hometown. I love it here, and I love that we bring people like you with a big heart, with a vision, the people that you work with, committed to the community. Really, thank you so much on the behalf of so many of us in Chicago.
Thanks for the conversation. Have
Absolutely.
a good rest of your night.
We'd love to support you anytime. Give us a call or reach out if we can do anything to help, okay?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Take care. Let's take a break here. We'll continue our conversation when we come back on WCPT. Again, that website is MarketboxChi. That's marketboxchi.org, marketboxchi.org. You guys can donate, you can volunteer, share the information with other people that you know in your community, and let's help out the folks, our neighbors. More after this.
Patti Vasquez is taking your calls now at 773-763-9278. Driving it home with Patti Vasquez now on WCPT 820.
Because I don't scroll as much on social media, and I have stopped watching a lot of news and just kind of go looking for the information that I need specifically on certain topics. I missed this story that Dave from Hoffman Estates is calling in about. Dave, tell folks what's going on in Wisconsin aside from the tragic news of today.
All right. You might want to mention this to your buddy, Dad Schaefer, too. This incident happened on November 11th. in Oakland, Wisconsin, in Jefferson County, 60 miles west of Milwaukee. There was roughly 70,000 gallons of oil from a pipeline spilled into the ground. This was Enbridge Line 6. Due to a faulty connection on a transfer pipe at the Enbridge's Cambridge station. It estimated 1,650 barrels, or around 70,000 gallons that spilled. Now, ironically, this spill was discovered on the same week that Wisconsin regulators approved the first permits for Enbridge's plan to move the aging Line 5 pipeline around the Bad River band of Lake Superior Chippewa Reservation. Now, Enbridge Line 5, I about railed a bit against, because that one, it starts up in from Superior, Wisconsin, and goes all along the south part of the UP to the Straits of Mackinac, and it goes and laying on the bottom right now. And it comes out in Sarnia, Ontario, Canada. And it's that tar sand stuff, and and the pipes are two 20-inch, 69, 70-year-old pipes, which have had one time anchor nailed into one of them. Now,
oh my God!
Yeah, exactly, because that would, if that ever popped during the winter or something, it's ice on it, because that's mainly got to go to Lake Michigan, where we get our water from. Well, Enbridge, they're wanting to drill and send the pipes underneath the lake bed, but who knows how long that'll take and whatever. But it was just something, ironically, with this now in a little closer to home, and I don't know if Dan knew about it or not. So.
Well, I'm trying to check again. I don't go on any of the social medias like I used to. I took Twitter off my phone. I don't really, and unfortunately, because of that, that's where I used to get like breaking news and things like that. Although there's one guy on Twitter, on TikTok that I like, Aaron Parnas, I think is his name, and he generally has good stories. But I haven't caught this one, and that's horrifying. And I know that there's going to be already. They're talking about the damage to the soil, and damage like that can last for decades, and that can also get in the local water supply, like you're talking about, for the people that live in. Yep, that's crazy. Yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I'd share that one with you because I know you're going up to Wisconsin and that. But I'm sure they got it cleaned up by now. But like you say, who knows what soaked in underneath? It gets into the water tables underneath and that. But
exactly.
Because they had a leak one time in Lower Michigan, too, in that one creek one time. I think it was like Line 4 or something back 10, 12 years ago. So, I don't know, it's sort of safe as the companies, So.
Yeah, well, again, this is a 465, it's Line 6, a 465-mile pipeline that carries crude oil from Superior, Wisconsin to Griffith, Indiana. And they just got approval from Wisconsin regulators. Of course, their General Assembly is controlled by the Republicans, although Governor Evers, depending on what his veto ability is. But there are permits for Enbridge, this company, to move aging Line 5 around the Bad River band of Lake Superior Chippewa Reservation, which could threaten the region's watershed and perpetuate the use of, again, we're continuing to expand the use of fossil fuels. It's a lot.
Yeah, Line 5 also is goes into the southern UP along the whole length of it, and then it goes underneath in the Straits of Mackinac. And like I said, we don't even get that stuff. Goes to Canada. So
yeah.
Anyway, I just thought I'd share that one, and then so you get to the others. And
I appreciate it.
We'll talk to you.
Talk to you later. Talk to you later. You too. Bye-bye. Jim was talking about this earlier about how people get their news now, and that so many folks get it from social media, and then other stories. I can't see the path forward. I don't know what this is going to continue to look like. I found out, I think was it yesterday or on Saturday? I could not believe this story that I know that many of us have talked about throughout the day. That ABC News has agreed to settle and pay 45. Now, can I call it use a word to describe him. Adjudicated. See, the truth is that he's an adjudicated rapist. And I don't know if the doors are going to fly open. Then I can't. But they didn't use adjudicated. I know that Stephanie Miller. I'll get your microphone, Paul, if you want to join me. I know on Stephanie Miller they talk about calling him alleged, and they're often trying to make sure that Stephanie is clear about that. I'm not sure. I think can we say felon, Paul? I don't know if I can. It says Comrex 2, so now I have to change. Nope, not that one. How do I choose you? I don't know how to choose you. Unless you get on do me a favor. If you go get some equipment to hook up to the tie line, and then you can come through the board, which is so inside baseball that there's no way to explain this to anybody of what I can't. Do I do Q first and then? Nope, it's not that one. By the way, I just, whatever on E1, the second from the right, that one's now probably on the wrong thing because I switched that too. I don't even know if your microphone's programmed to the board anymore, Paul. You can run in here if you want to talk to me. No, you don't want. He doesn't want to run in here. Was it that crazy of a holiday party that you can't come running into the studio? Guys, I could not go to the holiday party because I already had plans with the family. We actually went to my husband. See, he plans this like it was. You can ask Matt. He sent me the date, the times, and it was supposed to start at 4:30, which I could have gone to for at least a little bit. But no, you guys had to move it to 5:30, and then so I was like, no, that's when our tickets are because my husband plans the Botanic Gardens every year. We go see the lights. So I'm sorry I missed you, but I will say it was dazzling. And because I have a friend who does light design for pyrotechnics, Tamale Sepp, who will be in studio next Monday, she makes sure that there's torches. There's like hundreds of torches. If you've been to the Botanic Gardens, you know it's that first display of lights that go across the bridge to like the Japanese garden to that little island. So she helps design and maintain that throughout the entire Botanic Garden Winter Lights Festival, and it was dazzling. I got to see her. She travels all over the country. She lives the van life, by the way. Yeah, she's one of those folks. I don't know if it's like, Frances McDermott going in a bucket kind of van life, but it's close. So she gets a lot of the seasonal work. She's also a parachute jump instructor. She parachutes. She's an instructor and desperately wants to take me in a plane, which is never going to happen. One of my things that I refuse to do is to crash into the planet unnecessarily. I mean, like if I'm going, I'd rather go down with 270 people on a Boeing than by myself. Strapped to my friend. I'm sure that people have told me it's perfectly safe. I don't have any interest in that. I don't like that. There's things that scare me that people do for thrills. That's one. Do you know what spelunking is? Paul, you're just in the nod because we can't get your microphone on. But spelunking, if you're not familiar with this, these are people that like crawl through really narrow caves and I can't. Nope, not a fan. I maybe scuba diving, but that also like the big wide ocean makes me nuts. Okay, I probably shouldn't tell you about some of my weird phobias or like make my skin hurt. Even when I go to the movies, and Steve found this out early in our relationship, and he's managed to deal with it. I can't stand movies with like big, wide open spaces, like deserts make me nuts. Like it was The English Patient. He and I were dating when The English Patient came out, and I'm like, I can taste the sand. I can't. Anything with like expansive. Like snow tundras and things like The Thing, right, with Kurt Russell. I'm like, no, I don't want to. Like the people who are like, the Arctic North or just some place where there's not going to be anyone for miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. Like there's just not. I guess I need I need a Denny's nearby or some. I need to know that there's some sort of civilization like that I can walk there reasonably and not freeze to death, not be scorched to death by the sun in the desert. I don't want to drown. Like these are the things. So like Dune, I can't watch Dune. I can't watch like the Mad Max movies. No, I don't. Post-apocalyptic anything. I'm not doing that. So at any rate, really, where is my brain today that I went from my friend Tamale Sepp wanting to take me skydiving to tell you my stupid phobias? Like, I don't know. Like spelunking. That's. And I know it's the opposite of all the big open spaces things I just told you about. But I can't. That's nuts. There's a movie called what's the name of it? Double Jeopardy with Ashley Judd, where it's actually I think it's a pretty good thriller, to be honest with you. It's also stars Oh, no. Who else is in that with her? Because I don't know if it's Tommy Lee Jones. Yes, it is. Tommy Lee Jones is her parole officer. She gets locked in a coffin inside a mausoleum. Oh, I can't. Oh, my God. What? Oh. It makes me sweat just thinking about it. So these are all So anyway, these are all good movies. They just have elements that make me a little bit crazy. You know what I just started watching? I'm not going to tell you. I guess we'll have to wait till after we talk to Jen Zanotti. Let's see what Jen watches. But we're going to take a break here. We have tickets to give away for the Kathy Griffin performance on New Year's Eve. So we'll talk about that in the next hour. Stay tuned. And also, you know what? I don't have time to tell you the other things, but I promise to get to my live reads. Andy, I know you're listening. More after this on WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez, Patti Vasquez. From global conflicts to greenhouse gases, the folks refusing to wear masks says, and politicians getting caught grabbing asses. She's driving it home with Patti Vasquez.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining us as we drive it home. I want to say hello to our friends listening in the evening on KTNF AM 950 in Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota. And of course, we're so proud to have Matt McNeil, part of our lineup here at 9 o'clock. And of course, we are broadcasting out of Chicago on WCPT 820, the Heartland Signal. You can hear us wherever wherever you are. If you have friends that live in other parts of the country, they can still listen on the TuneIn app. They can watch the live stream on Facebook and YouTube now, which we're excited about. And of course, all of our shows are podcast. You can find those on the heartlandsignal.com website. And there are two podcasts. There's Driving It Home and Driving It Home Full. There's full episodes and then featured interviews. You can subscribe to one or both. They're available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Amazon. Just search for Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez. Or, like I said, you can get the links on the show page on my show page by visiting heartlandsignal.com and just click on my picture, my happy smiley face. Because sometimes, Jen Zanotti, our positivity expert. Jen, I've talked about this in the past. I smile a lot just to trick my brain into being happy. I don't know if you do that. It's like, no, I'm happy. Seriously, I'm happy. I mean, it's great. Yay!
It's great. I just naturally smile all the time. I can't help it. I just, sometimes when you're in a bad mood, though, it's good to just try and force that smile.
Yes.
And hopefully you can make somebody else's day when you smile at them. We've talked about that. I think a smile can go a long way. So
that's why I get annoyed when people tell me to smile. Like in that one moment that I didn't smile, like all the time that I smile, they got to give me grief. No.
Sure. Yeah, that's not, when people say it, it's a little annoying. I get that. But I think when you just decide you'd like to smile at someone, you can brighten up somebody's day.
Yeah.
And,
I agree.
It doesn't take a lot. So yeah,
I agree.
For sure.
I want to congratulate you on another successful competition this weekend. I know that did you tie for bronze? Was it the photo that I saw or?
Well, so we call this a participation medal, basically. I lost my first match, but I still made it to the podium because it was a smaller division. But they don't have you fight for third. There's two because it's single elimination. There's two people that can place and get in that bronze slot. But what it does enable me to do if you do medal is you can do then the open weight class. So I was able to fight again later, which I ended up losing by points. But it was an awesome tournament. I'm going to actually post this week some recaps of the matches because I feel like I fought well. I felt super present. It was great. It just, time ran out and I wasn't able to make it happen. So I felt really good about it and it was awesome. And it was so cool to be able to coach my students. So I had a couple students out there and just all the positive vibes. I'm grateful for what I get to do, and I didn't get hurt, stayed healthy, all of that. So super fun.
That's great. And I know that you don't go to Vegas to hang out and enjoy shows or go to the buffets. Did you do anything fun while you were there? Was it strictly just for the competition?
Well, it was strictly for the competition. So I go to Vegas a lot. I have a lot of friends there. I train there. Going to Vegas, I have to admit, is not really my favorite thing. I just feel like I've been there so many times, and it's not really my vibe. But I've never been there in December, and I was really hoping there'd be some cool Christmas decorations. And my birthday's the day after Christmas. The fall is my favorite time of year. I love Christmas, favorite thing. So I was definitely hoping to see some cool stuff. And the hotel was decked out in Christmas decor, which was great. And I guess each year during this tournament, the rodeo is also in town.
Oh, my God.
So there were a lot of cowboys and cowgirls, which is similar to my experience when I was in Fort Worth, Texas for camp, where I played golf. But even better, in the convention center where the jiu-jitsu tournament was, there was also Cowboy Christmas going on.
Oh, come on.
And that was amazing. So it's like 2 floors, like 17,000 square feet. I don't know. This is what's been going on since 1986. And it is like the most fringe denim, leather, fur, bling I've ever seen in my life. We only got to see like a quarter of it because we had to run back to like coach, but it was like insane. On a great level, we're like, next year we need to bring like empty suitcases to Christmas shop. But I was so happy that there was like all this like Christmas stuff going on, which, you know, was amazing. So it was definitely something to experience, and I'm glad I got to.
That's fantastic. I love that so much for you. I haven't had the Christmas rodeo combo. I was in Calgary for once, Calgary, Canada for the rodeo one time. I was, it's called the Stampede. The Stampede was in town. So I just remember, I remember writing material about it. And then I've been in San Antonio, and I was in an elevator. I don't know I wasn't like dressed in any particular way. And somebody asked me if I was in town for the rodeo. Like I'm like, yeah, I'm a barrel racer. That's what I'm here for. But
it was like amazing.
I love that. I think that everybody should be in a town where all of us Northerners, or all of us, all of us city slickers or whatever, people who've never been in a town where all of a sudden the rodeo, like there's just nothing left. The rodeo's in town. Like we never hear that in Chicago. Right? I know.
It was like the people watch. I was like, oh my God, the outfits I was obsessed with, like the jeans, the boots, the hats, and like the manner, everybody like, hello, ma'am. And like everyone, like just so very, like, it was great. It was just, it was a great experience. And one of my friends who was there that I was with and staying with, she took gold. She did amazing. But she didn't really grow up with like Christmas. And so I was trying to explain, just why I love it so much. And I think, like you and I were talking about before we got on here, like sometimes the season obviously can get very stressful, and there might be different family dynamics, or you're like crunching to get Christmas gifts and all this stuff that I think we lose sight a little bit of, just the real kind of magic and the feeling of Christmas. And I was just telling her, like, that's my favorite thing, just like the connections with people, like the decorations, the lights, just the magic, like trying to find and see that magic in all the little things. And, I dragged her with me to Cowboy Christmas, and it was great, but it was just so much fun, and the energy, and you could just kind of feel the magic and enjoy it. And it was great.
Oh, I love that. Were there any light up, gear on any of the cowboys or cowgirls? Where they, I can't remember what movie. Is it there's a movie where the cowboy like lights up. Anyway, I imagine that for Christmas.
I'm sure, because like I said, we only like made it a quarter of the way through. And I got a nice Christmas ornament for the tree as a little memento of Cowboy Christmas, but outfits blinged out. Like, it was fantastic. It was amazing. So.
When you're doing those competitions, it's got to be fun to have sort of that side thing, but also, being able to enjoy, the sort of that holiday spirit with somebody who isn't necessarily accustomed to similar traditions. It kind of gives you a new view on the wonder and magic of the holiday season, right?
Oh, absolutely. It was just great. Like, I had Hallmark on in the hotel room, and like, it was just, it was super fun, because when you're doing these tournaments, you have to weigh in. So it's not like we can really like go the night before and like have a great dinner and enjoy, you're pretty much like trying to find like salads that you can eat and like go to the sauna or, steam room if there's a gym nearby to do that. And, you're just kind of hanging out with people because you can't really go enjoy anything. And then competing is a long day in and of itself. And then if you're coaching, so by the time we actually were done with our portion of competing, we ordered in DoorDash tacos because it was we didn't even want to go out. We missed our reservation, and it was just being able to kind of connect with people and hang out and talk and then just share all of our holiday stories and why we love it so much is just super fun.
That's fantastic. I remember when the boys were little, and still that's one of the reasons we go to the Botanic Gardens. It's one of our traditions is to go to the Light Festival.
Yes.
Are you going this year?
Love it. No, we've gone the past 3 years. This year we're not going, but I love it. I love it.
It's very cool. And but there's just so many. Some of my favorite memories are doing some of the fun things, and it doesn't have to be necessarily going to something expensive. There's also just driving to. I'm sure you've got this out towards where you grew up in Highwood, communities that just really go all out, and it's almost to the point of being competitive with the holiday decorations. Do you guys drive around to see who's got it down this year?
Well, yeah, when we were younger, and I think this might be out by you, we'd always go through Saguenash. Is that where?
Yes.
Do you know?
That's,
yeah.
Oh my God, yes.
Am I saying that right? So my parents, because my dad used to work, I want to say in the Lincolnwood area at one point, but we would always just drive out, and see, that was a place to go. Everyone would always say they had the best lights. So we'd go out, and for us, that was a little bit of a trek, but we'd go, and I always remember seeing the Christmas tree that looked like it went through the entire house.
Oh my God.
That was on every floor, and then it came out in the roof too, and it was just amazing. You remember those things. So it's like I said, it's just the cozy, the time, the being with family, and the lights and fun. There's just this magic in the season. Hot cocoa, all of it. Having these great times, and it's so wonderful. I just love it.
And how do you work with some of your clients and the people that you talk to and supporting them with, being both mindful and enjoying themselves, but also not overindulging, because sometimes whether it's because the food is so good or we stress eat or stress drink, what are some of the ways we should be aware of pacing ourselves and enjoying the magic rather than the gluttony?
Yeah, well, of course, my clients, I always give them little tweaks on how I think it's great to be able to make your own splurge or your own treat, because you can always modify things so that it's not as bad if you were going out and getting it. But also just to be mindful, 80-20, right? If you can be sticking to your normal routine and eating healthy for the most part, but then you're going to splurge for your Christmas meal or Christmas Eve or whatever holiday you're celebrating or with family, I think it's, then you can actually sit down and enjoy it. So it's allowing yourself to enjoy that, and the rest of the time just sticking to your normal routine, making sure you're getting movement in still, the day before, the day after, getting right back to it. So I say look forward to that time. Enjoy it. Have, little bites of what you want. Don't go crazy, but actually taste and enjoy the food. Slow down, eat, don't just rush it, inhale it because you're super excited, but really enjoy it. Then you usually kind of end up eating a little bit less. But I think it's just then you can get right back on track. But when you do that, that's kind of the plan, and you're setting yourself up for success.
Absolutely, and also, if you're gonna indulge in beverages, make sure you're also hydrating, right? Alternate or whatever.
Drink water in between. Yes, exactly. Maybe instead of 5 drinks, you're having 3, and you're having water in between, right? So, and it's really try to take down the sugar. There's a lot of alcoholic beverages that have mixers and things that are high in sugar. So trying to keep it a little bit more maybe naturally flavored water or something, or putting in lime or lemon or something like that to get the flavor without, the sweeteners.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's just so much good stuff. Just, be specific, I think, on what you choose.
Yeah.
And what you put on your plate.
Exactly.
More protein than starch usually is a good way to go. Yes.
Protein, veggies, you can still balance your plate out. I'm sure there's always going to be a protein. It doesn't have to be just animal protein, but, plant-based protein, whatever it is, always making sure you're balancing your macronutrients. Having dessert within about an hour of your meal, and don't be checking emails on Christmas, but of your meal, and that's gonna make it digest a little bit slower and not just kind of digest super quick and store as fat. So, these little kind of hacks and tricks can help. And then maybe going out for a walk after your meal, after your dessert, with the family, and just getting some of that movement so you're not just going and like laying on the couch and taking a nap.
What? That's okay. Fine.
Who does that? What?
Yeah.
No.
Get up and do 25 jumping jacks, everybody. I saw this TikTok video. This woman after every meal she does 30 squats, which I think would be weird to do in a restaurant. It's like
that could be a little strange. You can go to the bathroom and do it, But
in your stall and just do. I'm sorry. I think we've talked about this before. I do squats when I brush my teeth, which is already challenging enough. But the whole time I'm brushing my teeth, I got nothing else to do except for look at my stupid face in the mirror. So I go in the hallway and I do squats. That's all.
I am like a huge advocate of utilizing every minute of the day. So if you can multitask and do that, I love it.
It's a good way to end your day and get tired. We've been getting Zen with Gen Z. All things JenZanotti.com. That's all things GenZ.com. And I'm so excited you're coming into town. I can't make any promises this time because every time I make a promise, I can't come through with it. But hopefully I get to see you while you're in town for the holidays.
We'll connect. We'll be home for 2 weeks. So hopefully we can see each other at some point.
Plus, you know where I am. As you guys can come in studio is all I'm saying.
I know. Maybe we can make that happen. I don't want to promise either,
That'd be fun.
I'd love it if we could.
We could do a couple of aggressive cuddle moves of jiu-jitsu in studio. Maybe we'll do a TikTok video of us wrestling in the hallway.
That'd be amazing.
Well, thank you so much, Jen. But before we go, do you have any retreats coming up soon, or is that something you're planning for next year?
That would be next year. Right now, I'm looking forward to getting some work in this next week and then having some great family time and just taking a nice little mental break to gear up for 2025.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Jen. Thank you for sharing your positivity with us, with helping us motivate and be mindful of the magic of the season. And I will see you. I'm going to make it happen. I will see you in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. Yay.
Take
Love
care.
you. Thank you so much.
You.
Okay.
Safe travels, my friend. Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Let's take a quick break here. Coming up shortly, we're going to give away a pair of tickets to see Kathy Griffin at the Chicago Theater for New Year's Eve. So stay tuned for those tickets, and I'll have them available. I have to figure out if we'll just do like a caller number rather than a trivia question, right? I don't know what trivia question I'd ask about. Oh, I do have one. I have one. We'll figure it out in a moment on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, and KTNF AM 950, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
There's no better way to defend democracy in front of your fascist Republican friends than with a cold progressive beer from the Minocqua Brewing Company of Wisconsin. So head on over to Beer on the Wall in Schaumburg, Doty Liquors in Elmhurst, Captain Jack's Beverages in Worth, or the Wilmette Market to pick up a 4-pack or couple 2-3 of Maga Tears IPA today. Don't forget to drink and vote responsibly.
You're listening to Driving It Home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Thank you so much for joining us as we continue to drive it home. One of the great things about living in Chicago is that we always have access to great performers who come through, whether it's music or theater or comedians. And I've been a stand-up comic here in Chicago for over 30 years. The last 10 years, I've kind of sort of sparingly done it, and not as much as I used to, because I've had the pleasure and honor of being a radio show host here, and I only have so much time, and I don't want to do a bunch of things badly. I try to do the limited number of things as well as I can, and but the thing is, early in my career, I was at it was still Marshall Fields. That's how long ago it was, and I looked up. I heard this voice. It sounded really familiar, and it was this just shockingly redheaded woman, both in her volume and in her hair color, she was shopping for. It was so funny because I think she was with her stylist, and they were shopping for these outrageously loud pants too. It was fantastic, and I know because the character that she played on a sitcom kind of dressed that way. So 4 of the tickets here. Kathy Griffin is a passionate advocate for the LGBTQIA+ community, women, and other disenfranchised groups. As a and is a cancer survivor herself. She and the hilarious fiery redhead Kathy Griffin is bringing her My Life on the PTSD list to the Chicago Theater on December 31st. You can celebrate your New Year's Eve with belly laughs. A limited number of great seats opened up starting at $43.50. So you can hurry up and grab your tickets now, and you can purchase tickets at Ticketmaster.com. But I have a pair of tickets to give away every single day this week. So here's my trivia question for the first day of giving away a pair of Kathy Griffin tickets. What was the name of the sitcom that she appeared on for 6 seasons? So that's was it 6 seasons? Oh, 4 years. It was 4 years of the sitcom, because she had something else, and we'll talk about that. That'll be another day's question for something else. So 4 seasons of a sitcom. It ran on NBC. I'm giving you some hints. What TV show did Kathy Griffin appear on to win a pair of tickets to see Kathy Griffin appear on New Year's Eve? It's really weird to promote somebody else's show for New Year's Eve, Paul, although I will be performing in Indianapolis at Crackers Comedy Club along with Jerry Walsky. So if you're in the Indianapolis area, you can come see it. I love that club. It was the owners there were the first to headline me and actually got me into radio. So it's kind of full circle, because that was the first place I had the opportunity to perform and appear on the Bob and Tom radio show. 773-763-9278. That's a number to call us for your chance to win. Maybe I need to do it earlier. Maybe the people that are listening are like online. It's always a little bit more of a delay too, to listen on TuneIn and things like that. Or, I mean, look, I'm not checking to see if you Googled it. There's no rules as to how you find the answer. 773-763-9278 for your chance to win a pair of Kathy Griffin tickets for New Year's Eve. It's a great way to kick off for your New Year's. You can also purchase tickets at Ticketmaster.com. Contests running on WCPT 820 are open to listeners 18 or older and residents of the greater Chicagoland, Northwest Indiana area. 1 entry per person, 1 winner per household. Void where prohibited by law. Listeners may only win or qualify to win once every 30 days. Complete rules are available on our website at WCPT820.com by clicking on the contest ticket. Oh, see, I think it's a little bit of a delay. So we'll see if somebody's got the answer for our trivia question to win a pair of tickets to see Kathy Griffin. And I was so wild when I saw her at the Marshall Field. Gosh, I think it was like 1990. Let's see, what year were these did this show run that someone's going to... Hey, there's Jerry. Hey, Jerry, you're on the air with us for your chance to win a pair of tickets to see Kathy Griffin on New Year's Eve. What was the name of the sitcom that she was on for 4 years on NBC?
Suddenly Susan.
Yes, with Brooke Shields, right? That was.
Yes.
Did you watch that show?
A little, not a lot.
I watched like the first few seasons. I actually, I will say this, just as a side story. Brooke Shields has a Christmas movie that I actually kind of like because it's with Carrie Elways. It's a Castle for Christmas. So if you're looking for a silly, light, Hallmarky, but more Gen X Christmas movie, I recommend it. So you've got a pair of tickets to go see Kathy Griffin. Congratulations, my friend. Stand by. Thank you. Stand by, and Paul will get your information. And we will have tickets available the rest of the week. Every day this week, I'm giving away a pair of tickets. So every day through Friday, stay tuned. Make sure you check in with us, and I'll have more trivia questions. So read up on your Kathy Griffin, because I know that a lot of folks, like, again, I mentioned this at the beginning of the show when I said we were going to give out tickets. There can be choices that artists make that you don't like. That really tanked her career. She got a lot of death threats. And the idea that Kathy Griffin, had this image of her holding the decapitated head of Donald Trump. She got, calls, I think she was interviewed by Secret Service. It was kind of an early indication that as gruesome as it looked, as offended as you might have been, she definitely made people talk. So I'm glad to see her touring and doing well. And again, Kathy Griffin will be at the Chicago Theater on New Year's Eve. Let's take a break here, and we'll continue our conversation when we come back. If you want to join the conversation, you can text or call at 773-763-9278. I know the phone lines were busy, so give us a chance to get the information from our winner, Jerry, and then we'll open them back up again. More after this on KTNF AM 950 Minneapolis, St. Paul, and WCPT 820 Heartland Signal.
Hey, it's Patty here, reminding you that Monaco Brewing Company's progressive beers like Tears IPA, Biden Beer, and the LGBTQ-inspired Love Wins Fruited Sour are now available at Chicagoland locations like Armanetti Wine and Spirits in Woodstock, Beer Shop in Oak Park, McLean Liquors in South Elgin, Beer on Central in Evanston, and My Buddies, a pride-friendly bar on Clark in Chicago. Don't forget to drink and vote responsibly. Levy in the breakdown with Barefoot and Pregnant, and I know they're working on another album. We always have the pleasure of talking to Gwen and the work that they do, raising awareness about the catastrophic effects of strict abortion bans. We talked briefly on Friday, because that's when the news broke, that the Attorney General of Texas had filed a lawsuit against a doctor in New York who had provided medicinal abortion access to a patient in Texas. Part of it, now this is something that a lot of folks were speculating would happen once President Trump took office, and I guess Ken Paxton wasn't willing to wait that long until January, and so essentially. He is seeking massive penalties against a doctor who works with a group that makes sure that it's the Abortion Coalition for Telemedicine. So presumably these folks have been gearing up for this kind of a lawsuit. I'm sure that they're prepared. But the doctor, Dr. Carpenter, they're suing her for practicing medicine without a license in the state of Texas and violating state abortion laws. And the thing is that, these are pills that we have had access to for quite some time. When a woman decides that she does not, finds out that perhaps she had unprotected sex, we have Plan B. We have abortion pills that mifepristone, which terminate a pregnancy within a certain amount of time. This isn't like something that they take late in a pregnancy in order to terminate a pregnancy. But this is going to be interesting because even if he gets a judgment that in Texas, because in Texas, presumably they're going to find this doctor guilty, right? So how does that play in another state? I don't have the legal mind to do this advanced game of chess that they are doing right here, because they can't. How do you enforce a penalty from inside your state to a doctor in New York? So that is something that's going to have to go, of course, to the Supreme Court. Wow. So if he gets a judgment in Texas, they can't enforce it, even though the full faith and credit clause usually requires states to honor one another's judgments. The Supreme Court recognizes an exception for so-called penal judgments that apply to more than just crimes. I'm getting this from an article from Slate.com, which he really does a great job of digging deep into stories like this. But of course, this lawsuit is kind of the tip of the iceberg when it comes to enforcing what states say. It's up to the states
So if you happen to live in Texas, you have to abide by what the majority, I guess, has decided. And by majority, it's the people that show up and vote, even though in so many states, and I believe, I know Florida came close on their ballot initiatives to say that people wanted to make sure that they protected abortion access. But it is insane. We know this is going to go to the Supreme Court. This is a really big push to end interstate access to abortion. They don't want you to leave. What's crazy is there are things that are illegal to do in some states, right? Like, let's say, I'm guessing in Texas, it's also illegal to smoke marijuana. Are they going after people? Let's say you go to Colorado to enjoy getting high. Then when you come back, are they going to prosecute you? Or, I know that you can't send cannabis, although there are certain types that you can. I didn't realize that there are certain types now. It depends on the type of THC that it is. You can get it through the mail. I don't know if Texas prohibits all cannabis from being mailed to folks, but so. This is an attempt to. They've talked before about if even pulling people over. I know that there are fines for people who bring pot back into their states. In Wisconsin, there are cops on the borders, especially in the northern border. When Michigan started selling marijuana, it's like a $450 fine for people bringing marijuana back into the state. I know that there are dispensaries along the Illinois border, and they'll pinch you crossing the border into Wisconsin if you're carrying cannabis. But with this, because it's not just somebody who wants to end a pregnancy. It's also women who are in a medical crisis or have a fetus that is not viable, that will not survive, that are also not receiving a reproductive health care, abortion care in the state of Texas. So are those women who are trying to save their own lives or their ability to have children in the future, are they also going to be hunted down? Because that was at the beginning of this, when before Roe v. Wade fell and Texas started enforcing these restrictive bans, they talked about basically making Texans bounty hunters. If you turn somebody in, if you because they will prosecute anybody. If you drive someone to have an abortion, if it's a doctor in another state, they want to go after you. But the Texas Right to Life and other anti-abortion groups are looking for plaintiffs to bring law. This is what happens all the time. You're looking for people to bring these lawsuits, and they want plaintiffs to bring lawsuits in the coming year. And they're focusing on the male partners of abortion seekers who they hope will bring lawsuits for wrongful death. So this is also on the path to personhood for a fetus. And again, make it make sense to me. Am I crazy, Paul? I mean, in some ways, perhaps, but am I crazy that? So if a fetus is a person, then they're getting a Social Security. Are they getting, are they getting are they getting payments for child support? Are they also on the life insurance? So Paul is right. You guys, before he wasn't sure if he wanted to join these conversations, but he is running into the studio because if they want it, if it's a wrongful death. Because then if a miscarriage, then any woman who isn't taking absolutely perfect care of herself has a miscarriage. Maybe she worked too hard and should have bed rest, or maybe she's exposed to smoke. Let me get your microphone on. Hi, Paul.
Hi. When can I claim a fetus's tax credit?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, child credit. It's some good money.
Yeah.
It's like $2,500.
You can't have it both ways, can you?
They're going to have it all the ways.
Yeah.
They're having it all the ways.
Where's the Social Security number? Where's can I claim them on the next census? Mm-hmm. Where's the line drawn? I
did love the part where when this first started happening in Texas, a woman was in the carpool lane. She was pregnant. She's like, well, I'm in the car with two people, according to you guys, right? Well, yeah, that's the whole thing.
But she probably got in trouble and was told that she wasn't allowed to do that, right?
Oh, well, there was a prison guard who was pregnant, started having discomfort. They would not let her leave her shift.
Oh, wow.
And she ended up having a miscarriage. And so the fetus did not survive.
Yeah.
And the state of Texas said that the prison was not responsible for the death of the fetus.
Wow.
Yeah. Again, am I crazy?
You
can say yes, but not because of this. It's making me crazy.
I don't think you're crazy on this one.
It's making me crazy. Yeah. Someone already texted in and I should breathe. I don't know. I don't know.
But until I can claim a fetus on my taxes, an unborn child, I don't buy the whole Republican thing that they're protecting the life, and that's
it's controlling women.
Yeah, it is. It is completely,
and it's getting mad at these groups that provide the care, wanting to control doctors. And remember when this absolutely tragic story of a 10-year-old girl who was pregnant because she had been raped, and immediately everyone was like, that didn't happen, and then of course immediately they're prosecuting the doctor who provided the services in Indiana. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something that didn't happen is now something that we want you to go to jail for. It's all this is going to be. Do you have any friends that are thinking about moving or taking leave?
No.
Is it because they don't have enough money, or because they want to stay and fight, or they're like, man, let's see what happens?
I think it's let's see what happens.
Let's see what happens.
Yeah,
it's not going to be good.
No,
I don't think it's good. I mean, I know we're in the state. Here's the thing. I don't know if you heard me talking about this in the last hour. Even though we're in a blue state, we are in some financial problems.
Yeah,
I'm just saying. And because there's a lot of federal funding that, whether it's from Medicare, Medicaid, whether it's like early intervention, these are all things that are supported by the federal government.
And they're going to cut all that.
I mean, they could vote to say, they might. That's their goal. When I was in Springfield, when I started going to Springfield to fight for services for families who have a child with disabilities, I did not know that these people exist. And when I say these people, I have no problem saying it. These people exist that want to zero out all the support services. Mm-hmm. For the elderly, for the disabled, for child services, for child care, because they think it should all be philanthropic. Like there are the billionaires who are sucking us dry. Then we're supposed to rely on them to also help us.
But are they just hoping that people are going to appear out of nowhere with money, or do they want their specific friends that run these charities to?
Yeah, it should not be the work of the government.
It's terrible.
So now those folks are congratulations for folks who voted for this. Congratulations. Okay, let's take a break. Oh, look at that. Time for I should probably read one of my live reads that I always forget. Poor Andy writes these all up for me. Coming up tomorrow on Chu's Views, Richard Chu's guest is Jacob Harvey, Managing Artistic Director of the Fine Arts Building and Studebaker Theater. He'll be talking about the Studebaker's production of A Christmas Carol, which runs through December 29th. That's Chu's Views with Richard Chu, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. right here on WCPT. I'll tell you about the rest of the shows when we come back. Right here on WCPT 820, Heartland Signal, and KTNF AM 950, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
Driving it home with Patti Vasquez on WCPT 820.
Oh, man. We have come around the bend of heading towards longer days. We'll have sunlight. I know a lot of folks start to lose our signal when the sun goes down. So remember, you can listen to us live by tuning in on the TuneIn app, which is free. You can also listen to us on heartlandsignal.com. You can watch the live stream on WCPT's Facebook page or YouTube page. YouTube. We're on YouTube now. And I got to figure out how to make YouTube reels and things like that. I should start a YouTube channel. There's a lot of things I should do. I'm spinning a lot of plates, so we'll see if I get to that one. But you can watch our WCPT, all of our local shows, our broadcast on YouTube, and you can find us at youtube.com/ at Chicago WCPT 820. And when you're there, just click on the live tab. You'll see my face pop up right now. Go do it right now. It's an assignment. And also want to remind folks about Joan's show coming up tomorrow. Of course, Joan Esposito Live, Local and Progressive. Joan will be taking your calls and talking to William Campbell, host of Here's How, Ireland's political, social, and current affairs podcast. Marjorie Hershey, Professor Emeritus in Political Science at Indiana University Bloomington. And Heartland Signal's Rich Eberwein with 3 stories you might have missed from our digital newsroom. That's live, local, and progressive weekdays from 2 to 5 p.m. Central on WCPT. And by the way, make sure that you are following Heartland Signal on TikTok, on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. That's Heartland Signal, all one word. And be sure to check out heartlandsignal.com for daily updates on what's going on. They do a great job of catching stories that really are, the state legislatures, people who are, taking advantage of situations situations. They're in on the grift with a lot of these folks in the upcoming administration. And the more we know and the more we stay vigilant, we really do need to get involved. I can't remember which show I was listening to. It was on the background because I was trying to follow the story with the city budget. We have, in the city of Chicago, we have passed a budget without the property tax increases. However, some of our streaming services will go up by 1.25% in order to fill some of the gaps. And I believe it's licensing for software, cloud services, things like that will go up like between 1 and 1.5%. So that's where they're trying to fill some of the gaps. But a lot of alder people are quite upset about the fact this sort of puts a Band-Aid on a bigger wound, and that while it might solve some problems in the short term, that heading into 2025, especially because we don't know what the funding is going to be like at the federal level for so many of our programs, both in the city of Chicago and throughout the state of Illinois. I mean, I'm glad that they passed a budget. It was not, I think it was like 27 to 23. That's the last number I remember seeing was that. Here, let me take the number on WTTW's site where they were reporting the budget passing. Again, it's a $17.1 billion budget that will hike some taxes by $165 million. Again, that passed with 27 in favor, 23 voting against. They only had 18 days left in order to make that budget pass because they had to do it by December 31st. And a lot of folks, and including one of Mayor Johnson's early supporters, Patti Vasquez, voted against it. The alderman of the 40th Ward, who is co-chair of the Progressive Caucus, along with Alderwoman Maria Haddon, he called the budget a short-term fix that is not financially responsible. So there are a lot of challenges coming to us at the local level. So I want to make sure that you do find a way to stay engaged in these conversations that we have here. I'm so grateful that you're joining us. When you feel comfortable, if you haven't already, seek out groups like Indivisible Chicago, Indivisible Illinois, some great groups to join. Or we will be going back to Wisconsin to support our neighbors to the north. They'll have a Supreme Court race coming up in April. So we will be working again in Walworth, in Kenosha, in Racine. And speaking of which, we will be in Madison, Wisconsin tomorrow. I'll be broadcasting live from the Minocqua Brewing Tap Room. I'm excited to see our good friend Kirk and hang out. I love going up to Madison. And of course, tonight they are mourning the loss of life at a school shooting. And I'm hoping that I can touch base with some of my in-laws that I have in Madison and see how they're doing. So we will be at the Madison Tap Room. It'd be a great way to pick up some progressive brews or some swag. They've got some great T-shirts and hats. Ooh, I think it's time for me to get a new baseball hat. I'm only how many hats would you say you have? I have at least 100, and I would say about 120 hats in my collection. Do you have more or less? More, close, same, less than me? You have 200. You have more. You have 20. You have 20 hats. Paul Chavari has 20 hats. Well, then I want to up your game. Is it almost all athletic teams, or do you also have logo? Oh, it's all athletic teams. Almost all. Okay. Because I don't even know what I'm wearing. Oh, We the People. I'm wearing. Yeah. I have a lot of slogans. I have a lot of restaurants. Like my favorite restaurant in the city of Chicago, bar none, is a Gale Street Inn. I love a lot of my other restaurants. You'll have to forgive me for giving love to a restaurant I've been going to since I was 6 years old. And oh my God, their gumbo is ridiculous. I went in a couple weeks ago and their London broil, you guys, I don't know if you've ever had a restaurant experience where you find that you're just chasing that taste for the rest of your life. I was talking about this at the farmer's market yesterday. Irish soda bread and Irish brown bread. My husband and I, when we started dating, there was an Irish restaurant in Evanston called Tommy Nevin's, and they had a great London broil. They had the best Irish bread, and I feel like I've been chasing that. There's that one restaurant in your life that you will spend like just that. I had a friend in high school. Her father owned a Thai restaurant. I had never had Thai in my entire life. So every year for her birthday, from when I was 14 till I was 17, I got to eat the most magnificent Thai food. Oh my God. It was called the Sukhumvit Cafe. It was on, LaSalle. It was like a small hotel there right at the corner of LaSalle and North Avenue. And I've had like a little bit of each. Like I learned the difference between broccoli and Chinese broccoli. Like I would order pad Thai and it would have like these big chunks of like broccoli. I'm like, what is this nonsense? Chinese broccoli is a little more, it's just thinner and longer and a little more like almost like collard greens, like the leaves of it. The balmy, okay, I'm not going to, I'm just getting everybody hungry. What am I doing right now? At any rate, the Gales, so I wear their hat. Like I had that hat specially made because I was like, you need to get me a hat, George. So the Gale Street Inn here on the Northwest side. And we are working on bringing hopefully some live performances to the Gale Street Inn. So we'll talk about that in the weeks coming for 2025. That's one of the things that we're planning on. I'm collaborating with our good friend Adam Burke and Dwayne Kennedy. So that will be happening again in the next few months. Anyway, so tomorrow I'll be at the Minocqua Brewing Tap Room in Madison, Wisconsin. Come on. And if you can't make it, you can go to MinocquaBrewingCompany.com. Make sure you sign up for their newsletter. I started writing columns for them. Thank you, Kirk, for giving me the opportunity and the motivation by giving me a portion of the profits to write, because I'm fired up about what's happening. So far, I've written about the idea of these mass deportations and the way in which the conservatives manipulated folks' emotions by saying it's their fault that things aren't going right in your life, when really corporations benefit and profit off of the hardships that migrants go through and underpaying them and putting them in dangerous situations. I wrote a little bit about, because I think people forget that during the pandemic at one of the Tyson food plants in Iowa, the managers were taking bets as to who was going to get sick, and 1,000 workers, and that's just the people that worked at these plants, and then spreading it to their communities, caught COVID. They were taking bets as to who would get sick and who would die. And it's basically, folks, that is corporate violence. And we'll be writing about the issues going forward. I think my next piece is probably going to be either on gun violence or healthcare, because, of course, it's top of mind for us. At any rate, again, tomorrow I'll be at the Minocqua Brewing Tap Room, and we would love to have you join us. So far, I think that Kirk I know a lot of folks get really upset. Somebody messaged me and asked me to ask Kirk to kind of tamp it down, to not be so caustic. I don't. Again, my reaction to what is going on is mine. What other people decide to do, and I think I'm speaking specifically about the assassination of the CEO of United Healthcare. Many of you might know that I kind of withheld even talking about it for a while, because I was seeing so many people really kind of treating Luigi Mangione as though he was a hero, and I don't see it that way. It's unfortunate that we weren't having the conversation, that we weren't all sharing how horrible our healthcare and health insurance system is. We kind of talk about it here and there. We all kind of just know it, and this brought it to the surface in a way that is catching more people's attention. So I'm not responsible for the ways in which Kirk Bangstad expresses himself. Just like I was talking earlier about Kathy Griffin, people were outraged and appalled by what she did. If that's not your tone or what appeals to you, turn in another direction and go, that's not for me. And that's kind of our choice. And we want to continue to be able to have those choices. He's got some great shirts like Good Trouble, I didn't vote for him, Viva la Resistance. And that's what we're doing. So thank you so much, Paul Shivari, for making the show hum along and keeping me on the tracks. Hopefully we can get your microphone back up here soon, because I'd love to hear you and Lady B and everyone that's in the booth, because you are part of the show. As all of our listeners, thank you for calling in today and joining the conversation. Hope that you are all happy, healthy, and safe tonight. Continue listening. Randy Rhodes is up next, followed by Matt McNeil. We'll be back tomorrow from Minocqua Brewing Company.